This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I'm excited to have an opportunity today to introduce you to Zufi Deo. He is a co-founder at BizGees that is leading this effort called Arts for Refugees. So stick around. This is going to be a great conversation. Zufi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Devin. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for joining us all the way from Italy. It's exciting to have you be a part of the show from far away.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great opportunity to share what we're doing with you and your peers.
Yeah, we're excited to get to learn more. Tell us about Arts for Refugees.
Well, Arts for Refugees came out of our work with Gen Zs. Over the years, we noticed that they were very engaged with our brand. All the volunteers, or 90% of the volunteers over the last 8 years have been Gen Zs. They turned up actually saying, hey, we love what you do, we want to work with you. So every time we decided to create a brand with them for their own benefit. So now the brand's been around for at least 5 years. We've worked with 250 plus Gen Zs. They create user-generated content for us, and then we share that publicly. So it's for Gen Zs, by Gen Zs, with Gen Zs. And the prime motivation there is to get them involved in, get them engaged with post-conflict communities in the developing world. And they do that through sharing their time, sharing their financial resources, and just sharing the commitment to make the world a better place.
So tell us a little bit about this. Give us maybe some examples so that we can begin to get our brains around what you're describing. How does this work?
Sure. Tomorrow morning, for example, I'm onboarding 17 students from King's College London, War Studies Department. They'll be sharing 16 hours of their time with us. And during the 16 hours, we'll train them up to be student journalists. So we'll put them through a course by Rotary's Foundation on digital journalism. They will complete that course, then apply that course to come up with an article of a topic of their choosing focused on a post-conflict community to educate and inform their peer groups about what post-conflict communities are, what the situation is, what the issues are, what goes on in them. Say, for instance, what's going on in Lebanon 10 years down the road, or what's going on in Kosovo, or what's going on in Bosnia 20 years down the road. So a lot of the time, post-conflict communities get forgotten because the war is over, the media has moved on, and the people are trying to rebuild their lives, but their issues aren't really well understood. So these students, they research and write about specific topics supporting these communities. To give you an example, peer poverty in refugee camps. Now, I would have never thought of that topic myself, and then I asked someone to write about it. But when we work with students, they think about these things. They think about what their peer groups are interested in. They think about how to get them engaged with these stories. And they go out there, do the research, process the research, and then write up these articles. The articles are broken down into podcasts. So they self-record a podcast about what motivated them to pick that topic, why they chose that topic, what their own personal commitment is to the issue. For instance, some of the students are first-generation refugees or second or third-generation refugees. They've either been displaced themselves, or their parents were displaced, or their grandparents were displaced. So that experience has been passed down to them one way or the other. And they want to share that with the rest of the world. They want the rest of the world to know that they're decent human beings and they want to do good in the world.
This is really, I think, an important work that you're doing, trying to make a difference. So, how are your students literally engaging with the young people who are experiencing life as refugees? And I mean by that, are they engaging directly on social media, or is it more indirect? How does that kind of thing work? Are they doing more personal things in social media?
Sure. They when they write these articles, they do share them on their own social channels as well. To give you an example of my direct relationship with refugees, the last cohort of students we took from King's, one of the girls was from Ukraine. Now she's studying war studies at King's College London, and she wanted to write and share her story. Now she didn't write about herself, but she did write about another post-conflict community. But she was highly engaged and she wanted to show the world what she's capable of, even though she's from a refugee background. One of her co-founders, she's doing her apprenticeship and she's from a refugee background as well. So she's been displaced from the Ukraine as well. She moved to Ireland. She's settling down into Ireland. It's taken about a year and a half to get into university there. And now she just started her university career there. So again, she is learning how businesses work, how to organize a business, what goes on in a business, how to pitch to investors, etc., as part of her time with us. So that's how directly we engage with refugees. However, the issues that they cover support and inform policymakers as well. So, for instance, we spent some time with Boston Consulting Group earlier in the year, and they wanted to tap into our knowledge base about post-conflict communities because they were writing a report for UNHCR on post-conflict communities. And they wanted to learn from my experience so they can share it with them. And that would then influence their policy in terms of how they go about supporting post-conflict communities. So it's very important that these stories get out there, that these the issues that these communities have get out there. And the more people engage with them, the more they understand them, the better for everyone. One of the ways that we are building that engagement is through gaming as well. So a lot of the content these students generate, over time we are repurposing them into micro games or small games that students can play. And through that play, they can engage with the stories. They can engage with small stories about people like Freddie Mercury, Bob Marley, who had experienced displacement and went through the refugee experience as well. So when they learn about these figures that they love and they hold in high esteem, to be refugees or have experienced a refugee experience, it changes how they see refugees. They see them more as human beings rather than a number or someone on television or something like that. They can relate to them better, and that's at the core of what we do.
This is such important, inspiring work. And I love the way that you're engaging refugees and those who are experiencing these problems at multiple different levels. As we think about this, how did you get drawn into this work?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the compliments. I never saw myself doing important work in that sense. I thought it was just a normal thing to be doing. So thank you for the compliments there. A friend of mine was displaced, and he's been through that experience. And we decided to do something about it. So he comes from a post-conflict community, and we decided to help rebuild it in some kind of way. And what we noticed over time was that the kind of engagement that was required on the ground was very different to the support that was being provided. It's not to say that the NGOs working on the ground, they were ill-meaning or they were under-resourced or anything like that. To very well resourced. They were very educated in terms of what they should be doing. But there's a big gap between what they were trying to do and what the needs of the people on the ground were. So over time, by engaging with these Gen Zs and by working with them, we've been trying to narrow that gap down as much as possible. So from our point of view, we focus on the human needs of the communities that we work with, be they post-conflict communities, be they the Gen Zs. And the reason we do that is we can relate to each other as human beings a lot easier than if we say, here's a person from a different part of the world. People see them as someone else. Whereas when we relate to them as human beings, people can relate to them a lot better. Say, for instance, we talk about heritage, identity, the need for autonomy, the need to take ownership of your own life. Then people can relate to them because they are having the same experiences on a daily basis. And that's been at the core of what we do, is to get people to relate to each other at a peer-to-peer level and to support each other at a peer-to-peer level.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Let's talk a little bit about how BizGees, the business entity, is set up. Are you organized as a nonprofit business or a for-profit business? How does all that work?
We're a hybrid. So we are a hybrid between for-profit and not-for-profit. So nowadays we're called a social enterprise. And the beauty of a social enterprise is that we use the power of the private sector to generate social value. So our primary purpose is to support communities, is to support people, is to support human beings, but we use a for-profit mechanism to achieve that. And that allows us to tap into the resources of capitalism across the world. And I think that's very important here, because we feel that it's what we do needs to have an impact globally, and it can't be achieved by someone just giving a little bit here or a little bit there. This has to be in the mainstream. And by taking that approach and using standard traditional approaches to innovation, we've come up with a model today which meets everyone's needs economically, but also emotionally and socially as well. And I think that approach is starting into the mainstream more and more.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you sharing these insights. It's just so exciting to get to learn more about Arts for Refugees and BizGees and the tremendous work you're doing. I'm a huge fan of using social enterprise for these solutions, including for-profit ones. That's how the Super Crowd, my business, is set up, right? As a public benefit corporation with that kind of mission. So it aligned perfectly with my vision for how we solve problems and normalize, the solutions that need to be implemented. So thank you very, very much for being with us. Listen, everyone, we're going to take a quick break, but we're here today with Zufi Deo. He is a co-founder of BizGees, the business behind Arts for Refugees, which is doing some really fun things to engage and show respect for and build autonomy with the refugee community around the world. So stick around. We're going to come back and talk to Zufi about his superpower. You don't want to miss that.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Zufi Deo. Zufi is the co-founder of BizGees, an organization, a company that is working to help refugees around the world through a program called Arts for Refugees. Great program. But we're going to shift gears now and talk to Zufi about his superpower. So stick around. Zufi, thanks for joining us all the way from Italy. We're thrilled to be able to connect with you. I have loved and enjoyed my visit to Italy. It's just an amazing, amazing country, and I'm honored to have been there. And I'm especially a little jealous of the nightlife that I experienced when I was there. Just such a wonderful community that sort of erupts in the evening. So, but listen, we're thrilled to have you here with us. Love the work that you're doing with BizGees. What is your superpower?
Devin, well, thank you, first of all, for your compliments. Italy is a great place. I moved here from London to have a better social life, believe it or not, to reorganize my work-life balance, and that's been great. Relatively speaking, I had more of a social life than I had to before, so Italy has stood up to its reputation in that sense. My superpowers are to bring people together and get them to be passionate or show their passion for a cause they truly believe in, and then to take it forwards. And I did this for 10 years when I was in London before COVID, where I was supporting entrepreneurs locally. And I organized a team of business mentors who would come together and then support entrepreneurs during the spare time. And we supported 2,000 entrepreneurs over 10 years. So I see that as my superpower. I feel that over time, it's sort of emerged. I never thought I was born that way. It's just over time, it's just what's worked for me best. And I feel that using that superpower for good is a worthy way to earn a living and to just to lead a normal life.
Well, we're thrilled that you are here and grateful for that great, inspiring work that you're doing. And I appreciate your superpower helping to catalyze that passion in others. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful superpower. I wonder if you could share a specific story, an example, an anecdote of a time when you used that superpower quite specifically with an individual or around a particular event that you're proud to have helped in some way.
Sure. During my time in London, while I was supporting entrepreneurs, I got an email one day from a lady. She had spent time in the industry. She was trying to become an entrepreneur, but she didn't know how to go about doing it in those days. And this is about 10 years ago. And financially, she was well off. Socially, she was quite well connected, but she was still struggling to find support. And not only was she finding it difficult to find support for herself, she had already organized a meetup group for women entrepreneurs, but she couldn't find people to come in and support them as a group. And she emailed me one day. I sat down and I spoke to her, and she nearly came to tears because she literally did not know what to do or where to go. So myself and the other business mentors came together. We used to go to her group once a month, and we used to support them as a group. And we got them to a stage where they could take ownership of their own group and understood how to source mentors, what kind of support they needed, how they could go forwards. So I think that would be quite a good example of the kind of impact myself and the other people I was working with had these along the way.
That is a great, great example. I appreciate you sharing. One of the things I think all of us who do anything, in business, period, but especially those of us who think of ourselves as social entrepreneurs, wishing to solve and address problems in some way. How can we learn to do that better? That harness that passion and build that in others, what's the secret? What are the processes, the tactics implementing that?
In my experience, it's about being human, and it's about seeing other people as human beings. And I think it's very easy to fall into a loop where you start to see them as a number or just a name or someone's walking through, and it's very and it can become challenging where you want to treat them like a human being. You don't have the time or the resources to do it. I think that's one of the core of what we do and how I go about doing what I do. Because I make sure humanity and treating people as human beings is embedded in everything that we do. And normally people say, what if there's a trade-off between time, money, and treating people as human beings? For me, it's not a trade-off. For me, it is such a core part of what we do and how we go about doing it. You have to treat people as human beings. It takes a little longer. It costs a little more. But the prime objective is to treat a human being as a human being. We have emotions. We have passions. We have instincts. We are connected to the universe in some kind of way. So all of that matters. And it doesn't matter whether we agree with it or not. We have to sit down and treat people with respect, with courtesy, and listen to what they have to say. And I think that's very important because it's very easy to fall into the mindset of this is just a number. We have to meet our targets. We have to get the numbers in. We have to churn X quantity of people through, etc. So, for instance, tomorrow when I'm working with the students, the way we've divided those teams up is that instead of myself, onboarding 17 or 18 students at the same time, we broke them down into smaller, more manageable teams, 6, 7 students at a time. So it's much more personal. So they open up, they ask questions, they engage with the topics, they can learn more about their own issues as well. So, but it also means that I have to put in extra hours to make that happen. It's no longer the case where I just put in 1 hour and I've done 17, 18 of them. It's over 3.5 hours. I think cover all the numbers, but it's done in smaller teams.
Yeah, those smaller teams help you to see them as individuals, as human beings.
Exactly.
You started your suggestions, though, with an important observation that you need to be human. And I think all of us who are in this world that you're playing in so deeply now in terms of, content creation, we often get tied up in our brands and in our message, and we lose some of our own humanity. We lose track of how to manifest to the public our own, humanness. How do you encourage, or how would you encourage people to sort of be human, to be authentic in their communications?
I think it's about understanding who you're talking to. So if you feel that you're just talking to a wall, then you can just talk to a wall and say anything you want to, without feeling the need to understand who you're talking to. But if you feel that you're talking to a viewer who's really passionate about what you do and the way you go about doing it, and you want to encourage them to support you, you have to see them as a human being. Again, that comes back to the human needs aspect. And those human needs are so fundamental. It doesn't matter what part of the world we're from. It doesn't matter what society we're from. It doesn't matter what echelon in that society we're from. Like I mentioned, the person in London, he just really well off. She was coming from, she didn't need to work. She was choosing to work. She was choosing to set her own business. She was choosing to fulfill her ambition. And so it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. These human needs are embedded in us. And I think just keeping that in mind and keeping in mind that the viewers that we are talking to now, for instance, are human beings. And they have the same passion and emotions as we have. Helps bridge that gap.
Excellent. Well, listen, as we wrap up now, Zufi, I wonder if you would take a minute and tell people how they can learn more about BizGees, Arts for Refugees, and how they can help, engage, participate, support. What's the best way?
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Devin. I think if you go to artsforrefugees.com and you can sign up to a newsletter there, and through that newsletter, we can then keep you informed. You'll see free information that the students have written. There's the podcast, there's the articles, but you also get a monthly newsletter that you can stay in touch with who we are, what we do, and how we go about doing it. So if you come and sign up there, that'd be great.
Excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We wish you every success in the great work that you're doing.
Thank you very much for your time.
All righty. Now, let's do some good.